After a massive strike by the Russian Federation on Ukrainian territory on the night of October 5th, the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin recalled that Ukraine's partners are planning to arm it with long-range Tomahawk missiles. The dictator unleashed a barrage of threats. As Putin stated in a comment to Russian propagandist Pavel Zarubin, supplying these missiles to Ukraine will destroy the positive trends in relations between Russia and the United States.
Just now you were talking about the President of the United States, but there were also questions related, let's say, to the discussion of issues regarding the supply of new weapon systems, including long-range, high-precision systems like Tomahawk missiles and so on. I've already said that this will lead to the destruction of our relations, or at the very least, the positive trends that have begun to emerge in these relations. So I'm just saying what I think, and how things will actually turn out doesn't depend only on us and not just on me.
Meanwhile, Akhmat Special Forces Commander Abdi Alaudinov, speaking on Olga Skabeva's propaganda talk show, expressed confidence that Ukraine will receive long-range Tomahawk missiles.
Now they're going to be given Tomahawks. If they're even talking about it, believe me, they're definitely going to give them those.
It is known that the U.S. is considering the possibility of supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk cruise missiles. However, the final decision on this matter must be made by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. The Tomahawk is a long-range cruise missile produced in the United States. This is not a new development. They were feared even in the USSR. They were an important element in deterring potential Russian aggression. In total, more than 2,000 Tomahawk missiles have been used in combat conditions. Tomahawk missiles can be launched from submarines and ships, as well as from ground platforms and, of course, aircraft.
Announcer US President Donald Trump stated that Israel has agreed to an initial withdrawal line in the Gaza Strip. On his social network, he wrote that after confirmation of agreement from Hamas, the ceasefire will take effect immediately, and the parties will proceed to exchange hostages and prisoners. Trump also published a map of the withdrawal line to which Israel has reportedly agreed. It shows the approximate lines of Israeli control in the Gaza Strip before the large-scale offensive on Gaza City, which began last month. Meanwhile, Egypt has announced negotiations between representatives of Israel and the Palestinian terrorist organization Hamas on October 6th. The country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that these are part of efforts to develop regional and international momentum that arose after Trump presented his plan to end hostilities in the Gaza Strip. The exact location of the meeting has not been specified. In turn, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Hamas has only a few days to negotiate over the hostages. According to the Times of Israel, after the deadline, the group will be dealt with either through diplomacy or by military means. According to him, the only reason Hamas is willing to release all the hostages is due to military and diplomatic pressure. Announcer. For example, the day before, the United States presented a plan to end the war in the Gaza Strip. The plan stipulates that within 72 hours after its approval by Israel, all Israeli hostages held by Hamas must be released. In turn, Israel will release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and gradually withdraw its troops from the Gaza Strip. Also, according to the plan, the Gaza Strip will become a demilitarized zone free of terrorism, and Hamas will relinquish any role in governing this Palestinian territory. Soon after, the Hamas group agreed to the plan proposed by US President Donald Trump.
On October 5th, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made a cryptic statement. According to him, a unilateral ceasefire in the skies is possible, and it is precisely this that could pave the way for genuine diplomacy. However, the Ukrainian leader also noted that on the night of October 5th, the Russians once again struck civilian infrastructure, everything that ensures a normal life for people.
Greater protection is needed, and a faster implementation of all defense agreements, especially regarding air defense, in order to render this aerial terror meaningless. America and Europe must act to force Putin to stop.
Earlier, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan stated that the situation in Russia's war against Ukraine could reach a breakthrough in negotiations within just a few months. He noted that the international community, including the US and Turkey, is actively working to find a peaceful solution, even though both sides are only intensifying the fighting. According to Fidan, very important topics were discussed during the recent meeting between US President Donald Trump and President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin in Alaska.
The Russian side openly communicated its ceasefire conditions to Mr. Trump in an even clearer and more refined manner.
Furthermore, as the minister noted, Trump discussed these conditions with the Ukrainian leader and his European colleagues to understand which issue could be advanced. Fidan does not view the current intensification of hostilities as a sign of diplomatic failure, but rather as a classic military strategy employed by both sides ahead of possible negotiations. Ukrainian Armed Forces serviceman and political analyst Kyrylo Sazonov commented on the combined attack by the Russian Federation on Ukrainian territory.
It seems to me that this shelling, this attack, was intended more as a demonstration than for military purposes.
According to Sazonov, no matter how hard the Russian Federation tries to intimidate people, it will not succeed. And no one wants or plans to negotiate peace on Russia's terms.
Trump is taunting them with a paper tiger. Europe is preparing to further increase its support for Ukraine. No significant successes on the front are expected for Russia.
It should be noted that the Russian Federation wants to demonstrate its strength and power by launching more than 50 missiles and over 500 drones at Ukrainian territory in a single night.
Drones attacked the city of Sochi in Russia's Krasnodar Krai while Russian dictator Vladimir Putin was there. According to the publication The Moscow Times, this happened on the evening of October 2nd when the Kremlin leader was speaking at the Valdai Forum. It is noted that the first official report about the drone threat appeared almost immediately after the Russian president finished his speech. Soon after, an alarm sounded in Russia's Krasnodar Krai. Due to the attack, temporary restrictions were imposed on the arrival and departure of aircraft at Sochi Airport. Gelendzhik Airport was also closed. Local residents reported the operation of air defense systems and explosions. The Russian Ministry of Defense responded that from the evening of October 2nd until 7 a.m. on October 3rd, they allegedly destroyed 11 Ukrainian drones over the Black Sea and another 4 targets in the airspace over occupied Crimea. Drones have threatened Putin more than once before. Earlier, the media reported that the Kremlin leader might have been in Sochi during the drone attack on the night of September 9th. At that time, it was from Sochi that he participated via video in the BRICS meeting. During the night, air raid sirens were briefly activated in the city, and the airport was closed due to drone attacks. In addition, in May of this year, Russian propaganda channels reported that the helicopter of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin was allegedly attacked by drones. At that time, the commander of the Russian Air Defense Division, Yuri Dashkin, claimed that during the attack, Putin was on a visit to the Kursk region. However, the publication The Moscow Times, citing historians, wrote that Putin was not actually under attack and that the statements from the Ministry of Defense were a carefully staged performance. It was created to convince Russians that the president is supposedly making great sacrifices.
On the night of October 4th, the Leningrad region of the Russian Federation was attacked by UAVs.
Oh my God, where in the world are they even located exactly right now? At this very moment, I wonder. Launching these from? Where are they coming from?
In the city of Kirishi, the drone struck one of the key facilities of Russia's energy infrastructure, the Kirishi oil refinery, Kirishi Nefteorg Zintes. According to Russian telegram channels and the region's governor, Alexander Drozdenko, a fire broke out in the industrial zone and emergency services were called in to extinguish it. Drozdenko claims that Russian air defense allegedly shot down 7 drones. Local residents reported on social media that the plant was the main target of the attack. According to eyewitnesses, there were at least 4 strikes on the facility. Kirishi Nefteorg Zintes is located more than 800 kilometers from the border with Ukraine, and it belongs to the company Surgutneftgaz. It is one of Russia's key oil refineries with an annual capacity of over 10 million tons of oil. The facility produces gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other petroleum products, supplying a significant portion of the Russian Federation's domestic needs. This is not the first successful attack on this facility. On March 8th, Kirishi Nefteorg Zintes was already hit by a drone strike. At that time, Russian authorities admitted that one of the drones struck a storage tank. Another attack occurred on the night of September 14th. At that time, explosions and fires were reported on the facility's grounds. On October 3rd, drones attacked the Nefteorg Zintes oil refinery in Russia's Orenburg region. According to local social media reports, the facility was hit. The facility is located more than 1,400 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. This makes the attack one of the deepest strikes on Russia's rear infrastructure. Following the attack on the Orsk refinery, the sale of gasoline in the city was suspended, according to local social media reports. The reason cited is panic over a possible fuel shortage. Lines formed at gas stations.
On October 4th, municipal elections are being held in Georgia, which are being boycotted by a number of opposition parties. Citizens of the country are electing mayors of Georgian cities and more than 2,000 local self-government deputies. The opposition has refused to participate in the voting and is instead preparing a large-scale protest action, the stated goal of which is the peaceful overthrow of the government. They explain their refusal by saying that the elections will be rigged by pro-Russian forces in order to legitimize the Kremlin puppet party, Georgian Dream. Among the reasons for the boycott are also the arrests of many opposition leaders. The opposition believes that the ruling party, Georgian Dream, can only be defeated through rallies and protests. In particular, on election day, a rally called the National Assembly is taking place outside the parliament building in Tbilisi, which has already drawn several hundred people. This has seriously frightened the country's pro-Kremlin authorities. The Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Kobakidze, has publicly called on people not to commit any illegal acts on October 4th. He clearly stated that citizens have the fundamental right to peaceful assembly, but he also warned of tough retaliatory measures in case the law is violated.
The punishment is quite severe, ranging from 2 to 4 years of imprisonment. Therefore, I would like to remind everyone that if anyone is tempted to commit illegal acts, they will face a very harsh response.
In addition, the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Georgia announced a large-scale mobilization of law enforcement forces throughout the capital. It should be noted that in December of last year, anti-government protests took place amid the presidential elections. For the first time in the country's history, the head of state was elected not by direct vote but by an electoral college. At that time, the pro-Russian candidate Mikhail Kvelashvili was appointed to the post of president. The opposition also protested against the decision of the pro-Russian party Georgian Dream to withdraw from negotiations on joining the European Union.